Hey everybody, and welcome to another episode of Upgrades. I'm Jeremy Knoll.
And I'm John Soares.
And today we are talking about the March of the Machine precon, Tinker Time. It's the
Gremlins.
Yeah, Gremlins. I love this one. I love the art on this face card so much. The face card is Gimbal Gremlin Prodigy. It's 2 green, blue, red, 4/4 legendary creature, Gremlin Artificer. And it says, artifact creatures you control have trample. At the beginning of your end step, create a 0/0 red Gremlin artifact creature token. Put X +1/+1 counters on it, where X is the number of differently named artifact tokens you control. You played this one in our Commander Versus game with the precons.
I kind of did. Yeah, I didn't get to do too much.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
I like the art.
The art is great. Yeah, I'm in for it. I want to play this again.
All right. The secondary card is one of the team-up cards, and that's Rishmi and Ragavan. It's 1 green, blue, red, 2/4 legendary creature, Elf Monkey. And it says, whenever you cast your first spell during each of your turns, exile the top card of target opponent's library and create a treasure token. Then you may cast the exiled card without paying its mana cost if it's a spell with mana value less than the number of artifacts you control. If you don't cast it this way, you may cast it this turn. So if you don't want to do it immediately, you can cast it a little bit later.
I have a feeling this is going to go into very high-powered commander decks.
Yeah, it seems real good.
I'm not a CEDH aficionado by any means, but this card seems very powerful.
Yeah, it's got a lot of text, and rightfully does a lot of things. Yeah, 4 mana, 2/4 is whatever, but yeah, it's...
In a format where you're all playing very powerful commander decks with normally very low-cost cards,
yep.
This card gets real good.
Yeah. All right, so looking at the new cards in the deck, each of these decks comes with Plane Chase. We return to Plane Chase. So there are 10 total Plane Chase cards in each of these decks, 5 new ones, 5 reprints. And if you are playing that, you obviously want things like Fractured Power Stone, which is in each of these decks. That's a reprint. And the new card that's in each of these is Ichor Elixir. It's a 4-mana artifact that says if you would roll 1 or more planar dice, instead roll that many dice, planar dice, +1, and ignore 1, and it taps to add 2 mana. Mm-hmm. Pretty straightforward.
Yep.
But yeah, that's one of the new ones for Plane Chase specifically. So,
all right, another new card we have is Cutthroat Negotiator. 2 colors, blue, red. It is an Orc Pirate. 4/3 has Parlay. Whenever it attacks, each player reveals the top card of their library. For each non-land card revealed this way, you create a tapped treasure token, and then each player draws a card.
Yeah, so each player draws a card is standard Parlay.
Yeah.
Making I've seen that kind of a little bit more now of creating tapped treasure tokens so you don't get to use them right away.
Yeah.
It's like,
I don't know how I feel about it.
Yeah, it's okay. It's another pirate to put in your Ixalan Pirates deck.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah. The next one is Dance with Calamity.
I think this is my favorite card in all of this.
I love this card so much.
And all the decks.
It's a sorcery. It costs 7 and a red already. Hopefully it does something big and splashy. It does. It says shuffle your library. As many times as you choose, you may exile the top card of your library. If the total mana value of the cards exiled this way is 13 or less, you may cast any number of spells from among those cards without paying their mana costs. So if you go over that 13, this is obviously an Innistrad card, and it even has it in the flavor text. Mm-hmm. It was just another day on Innistrad. So if you go over that magic number of 13, they're just exiled. You don't get to do anything with them. Could work really well in like a Prosper Tomebound kind of deck where you care about exiled cards anyway.
It's going to work really well.
Well, it's going to work really well in a lot of decks.
Yeah.
Any sort of Storm style deck, this is going to be real good.
Yep. All right, next card we have is Hedron Detonator. 2 colors and a red. It's a 2/3 Goblin Artificer. Whenever an artifact enters the battlefield under your control, this will deal 1 damage to target opponent. Then you can tap it, sacrifice 2 artifacts, exile the top card of your library, and you may play that card this turn.
Yeah, this is going to be very annoying with the treasure decks.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just going to start pinging people.
Yep.
It's... I don't know what to... Like, it's throwing a Hedron.
It is.
Yeah.
It says complete this.
Yeah, complete this. Yeah, it's good. It's very good flavor-wise, but it's definitely going to be very annoying in those... like black-red black-red-blue treasure decks.
At least it's target opponent, unlike the Kaladesh one that just pings everybody.
Yeah, that pings everybody. Yeah. And like, I think Ether Grid is in this one too.
I think
Ether
so.
Grid is in this one too. Yep. So yeah, there's definitely other ways to ping everybody with those artifacts, but this one, yeah, it's going to get annoying. The next one, I think this might be my favorite art just for nonsense, style-wise. It's Pain Distributor. And it's just like a tiefling, a devil. It's Devil Citizen, but it's like a devil from New Capenna, just with a baseball bat with nails in it.
Mm-hmm.
It's great. I love that style of art. It's so nonsense. It's 2 and a red, creature Devil Citizen, 2/3. It's got Menace. Whenever a player casts their first spell each turn, they create a treasure token. Whenever an artifact an opponent controls is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, Pain Distributor deals 1 damage to that player.
I'm in for that card.
I like it.
I like it a
like it a lot.
One day I hope to take someone's Lucille with it.
Yeah, it's not quite Lucille because it doesn't have the barb.
I know, it doesn't have the barb.
This is definitely a weapon that's in D20 Modern if you've ever played. It's an improved baseball bat essentially.
Next card we have is Path of the Animist. 3 colors and a green. Sorcery. Search your library for 2 basic land cards and put them on the battlefield tap. Nothing new. It's just the explosive vegetation style card. It also has Will of the Planeswalkers. If you're playing with Planes Chase, you can vote, and if Planeswalk gets more votes, you Planeswalk, and if Chaos gets more votes, you ensue some chaos.
Chaos ensues, yeah. Yeah, pretty straightforward. It's a rare because it's a new card, singleton in the deck, but yeah, it's basically Explosive Edge or any of those other style. The next one is Sandstep War Riders, and that's a 3 and a green, 4/4 creature human warrior. Has trample. At the beginning of combat on your turn, bolster X, where X is the number of differently named artifact tokens you control. Bolster is choose a creature with the least toughness among creatures you control and put X +1/+1 counters on it. So it makes your tiny ones real big, real fast.
Yep.
Because this is going to have, you're going to have a bunch of differently named artifact tokens in this deck.
The last new card we have is Schema Thief. 3 and a blue. It's a Vidalcan Rogue Artificer with flying. It's a 3/3, and whenever it deals combat damage to a player, you create a token that's a copy of target artifact that player controls.
I really like that.
That card is very good.
This card's
sweet card.
3/3 flyer.
Yep.
Good, and then being able to just kind of, okay, I've got a Soul Ring, I've got this, I've got that. It's real good. All right, so those are the new cards in the deck. We're going to go over our cards to add for this deck, and this deck is, as with most of our upgrades, we are going to be trying to keep these cards under the $5 range, and there are definitely plenty of cards that you can add in that are over that, especially in any sort of artifact-based deck.
Yeah.
There's lots that you can add in if you've got the budget.
There is.
But this one, we're going for $5 and under. The first one is March of Progress. This one comes from the Brothers War Commander decks.
Yep.
And there's a old bordered version in the Commander deck, and then there's the extended art version that's not old bordered from the set boosters and collector's boosters. And this is a 2 and a blue sorcery. Choose target artifact creature you control. For each creature chosen this way, create a token that's a copy of it. And then it has everybody's favorite overload, 6 and a blue.
Sure does.
You got that 6 and a blue.
Yeah.
Might as well use it for this. Rather than holding it up for anything else on anybody else's turn. So why would you want to do that? That's just
you wouldn't. That's why they made it the exact cost.
But really nice being able to double your artifact creature count very quickly.
Yep. Next card we have is an oldie but a goodie. Steel Overseer. 2 colorless, 1/1. You just an artifact creature construct. You tap it. Put a +1/+1 counter on each artifact creature you control.
Yeah. Especially if you're playing any sort of Thopters or anything, this can get them real big real quick.
Yep.
Next one is Idol of Oblivion. I'm surprised this one wasn't in here.
I am too.
Yeah, it's been in a couple of different ones, especially token ones.
Yeah.
It's 2 mana artifact, tap, draw a card, activate only if you've created a token this turn.
That's what we want it for.
Pretty easy in here. But it also has the ability of 8, tap, sacrifice it, create a 10/10 colorless Eldrazi creature token. Which is fine, a little bit later in the game, but you definitely want it to be able to just draw extra cards.
Yep. And since we're going to be making tokens,
Brutaclad,
Techlore Engineer, 4 colors, blue-red, is a 4/4 as a legendary artifact creature artificer. Creature tokens you control have haste, and at the beginning of combat on your turn, you create a 2/1 blue mirror artifact creature token. Then you may choose a token token you control. If you do, each other token you control becomes a copy of that token.
Yeah, so this one is one that's really good for getting in with those really big artifact creatures and token creatures that you've got. If you've got something like that, but if you do that and you've got them all named, the new name, you want to make sure you're not casting those spells that care about your differently named things.
It's true.
So it's got some give and take. This is also one that was updated to
Phyrex, and of course it is.
Yeah. I wanted to double check and make sure. I thought it was.
I just want to go to my combat, make a 2/1, choose Idol of Oblivion, make all of my tokens Idol of Oblivions, and then draw a bunch of cards. That's all I want to do.
That works. That works. Our final one is something to do with all those tokens you're making, all those random artifacts, and it's Trading Post. It's 4 mana artifact. Pay 1, tap, discard a card to gain 4 life. Pay 1, tap, pay 1 life. Create a 0/1 white goat creature token. Pay 1, tap, sacrifice a creature. Return target artifact card from your graveyard to your hand. Pay 1, tap, sacrifice an artifact, draw a card. So it kind of goes through the cycle, but you're going to have a bunch of random things that, random artifacts, random like little creatures that you can just and gain an extra ability if you need to throughout the game.
Get a goat, get an artifact back.
Yep. All right, so those are the cards that we would suggest adding into the deck. As always, there are definitely cards that you can take out of the deck to add in whatever. These are the cards that we are going to suggest that you end up taking out, but it is all completely up to personal preference. The first thing is, obviously, if you're not playing Plane Chase, you should just take out your Fractured Power Stone and your Ichor Elixir. They're not going to do almost anything for you. They're fine as just mana rocks, but there's a lot more mana rocks that are available nowadays that you probably have from a previous precon or just, hanging out that are just there. So definitely other ones that you can grab. But the first one...
Yeah, I don't like this card, so I was going to cut it immediately. And that's Sharding Sphinx. 4 colors, blue, 4/4, artifact creature Sphinx, flying. Whenever an artifact creature you control does combat damage to a player, you make a 1/1 with Thopter with flying.
Yeah.
I've never liked this card. They put it in the precon many times.
They have.
I liked it in the Lar Limited.
I was gonna say
it was really good in Shards Lar Limited.
Shards of Lar Limited.
The card was very good.
Yeah, when you were playing an Esper, it was a bomb.
It was.
This and Tower Gargoyle took you home.
It was real good.
Took you home in that format. But yeah, other than that, it was definitely really good around that time in Commander, when Commander was a very nascent stages and wasn't even called Commander at that point. It was still just EDH. It's a big flying creature that just did a bunch of nonsense. But nowadays... Yeah, they've
been making better cards.
Yeah, you can get something a little better. The next one is one that's actually come out more recently, and that's Vampire's Vengeance. It is a 2 and a red instant from Crimson Vow, and it says Vampire's Vengeance deals 2 damage to each non-vampire creature. Create a blood token. It's cool. It's fine.
A pyroclasm.
It's a pyroclasm, and it makes you a blood token. It makes you another token.
It's fine. If you want removal, though, you can get better removal.
Yeah. So that's one of the things about this deck is, if you're going to add cards in, you really want to go through and look at, all the random cards in these colors that will add random tokens. Yeah. And so this is one of the ones that just adds a blood token. You can probably get that a little bit easier for another one.
They've removed Blasphemous from these decks, and now we're getting these. So it's not fair. It's not the same at all. Next card we have is Path of the Animist. Yeah. Even though it's a new card, there are 4 or 5 different versions of this explosive vegetation variant. The one that gets gates, the one that cycles. Yep. There's probably one that gains life. There's all kinds of things you can do here.
There's the one that gets deserts.
Yeah, you can get deserts.
Yeah, there's a bunch of different versions of this card. If you're not playing Plane Chase, you can find other ones that are the same exact thing.
Or better,
depending on what you're playing in the deck.
Put some gates in the deck, and then all of a sudden you have one that searches up duels.
The next one is Struggle/Survive. It's one of the Aftermath cards. And I believe there's an Aftermath card in almost every one of these decks. So. And this one is kind of okay. You're not really ramping much. Outside of that Path of the Animist, I don't think there's very many go get land ramp cards in the deck itself. So Struggle is 2 and a red instant. It deals damage to target creature equal to the number of lands you control. It's fine for a little bit later game. And then Survive is 1 and a green Aftermath. You play it from your graveyard. And it says each player shuffles their graveyard into their library. Yep. I guess that's fine if you're playing against the other one that I'm gonna grab
things from the graveyard.
Things from the graveyard. Yeah. But other than that, it's fine.
Yep.
It's okay. If you're playing against other people that have a graveyard-based deck, or you really want to just that one for removal, keep it in maybe. But the last card, Jeremy chose. Yeah. Because this is my favorite card, and I wouldn't do this. But it is also not good in this deck as it's built, which is Dance with Calamity. The 7 and red sorcery. You have too many cards that cost too much mana in this deck. Getting to 13 in this deck is going to be much quicker than you would in almost any other deck. So this deck, I just went through and looked. There's 1 card that has an 8 mana value. There's 5 cards that have a 7 mana value. There are 5 cards that have a 6 mana value. And there are 8 cards that have a 5 mana value. Yeah. The chances of you hitting that 13, going over that 13 within a few cards is pretty high.
Yeah.
So I can see why it's okay in this as a precon.
Yeah.
Because you might get like 3 or 4 cards maybe, but there's also a chance that you're going to like go, okay, flip 1, flip, oh, I guess I'm done. Because you're just going to hit like a 7 and a 7 or something ridiculous like that.
It could definitely happen.
So yeah, like I don't know that it's built for this, but it is still one of my favorite cards from all of the Commander decks.
Definitely.
So that is our suggestions for cards to take out of the Tinker Time deck, which I still absolutely, I'm so excited to play with these cards. And like, just build around Rushme and Ragavan and Gimbal. It's just, it's so cute. They're awesome. Make sure to let us know what cards you would add in, also what cards you would take out, and which one of these decks is your favorite. Which card is your favorite? We've been talking about the Dance of Calamity a lot this episode, and there's a lot of good cards in these decks. So which new card is your favorite out of all of these? Also make sure to like, share, subscribe, binge Commander Versus, subscribe to this. Also subscribe to youtube.com/@StarCityGames, our other channel. And you can check us out at Jonathan Suarez at A Natural Death, at Jeremy Knoll on Twitter. Thanks for joining us. We will see you next time.